I've always felt different. I've always seen things, but when I tried to express them as a child, I was always told to ignore it.
There were people that I didn't know that came to me and said, I have this message that I keep getting that I have to deliver to you.
All of a sudden, out of the shadows, a homeless man just jumped right in front of me, and he said, I'm a soul just like you.
I love it.
I wanted to understand the universe and who and what we are and what are we doing here.
We're all part of this amazing soul wave tapping into each other.
This was a major life changer.
You are a light. You have helped me a ton. Thank you.
You've given me the courage to live more from my soul.
Millions of people are awakening.
So wake up with Michele Meiche, the place to hear the best-selling authors and experts in the fields of cutting-edge self-help, personal growth, metaphysics, and spirituality. The soul path of awakening.
Understand what living awake is.
Hello, Radiant Soul Lights. How's everyone doing? Okay, so if you are new to this podcast, welcome. I'm Michele. It's great to connect with you. If you're new, let me know. If you're here for the first time, love to give you a warm welcome. And those of you that are tried and true, that have been traveling on this soul path for a while with me, always great to connect with you. Really, it is. You inspire me. It's very inspirational. So let's get a little overview, a little bit of the deets of the show, what we need to do. First of all, I want to thank all of you that have left your positive reviews, your 5 stars on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Really, really appreciate you all. It really means a lot. So I'm going to give a little shout-out. Tulsi Deva, thank you so much. Appreciate you. There's so many. I'm just going to read a few. Sarosi, thank you. Seeking Wisdom, Erica Bushwell, Tammy Ann M., thank you so much. Brenna Yole, Liz Earth, B&T's mom, Present Moment. Got Present Moment and Present Mommy. Dream Girl 9, Hippie Sash, Real One Love. Real One Love left a couple of comments. It's Jessica Ann. Thank you so much. All these are 5 stars. And, 4. 123 Walt, 123. Sarah C 789. Thank you. Angie BB 28. Who's a new listener. Let's see what else. Some of these are older. I'd like to get some of the 2022s in here. Elim J, Shannon K. Soda, Amber ALJ. Thank you. A couple more. 3 Grace Girls. Thank you so much. Bhakti Joy. Thank you. GJ Africa 81. Pickaver 23, L. Gavi. Thank you so very much. I think Tulsi Deva is a longtime listener, never miss. I love the podcast. Thank you so much. Really, really means a lot. I put a lot of energy into this. I have one soul support, kind of half support, that's helping me. So I would love to be able to do more with the podcast. That's coming up as I get more consistent help. But what really does help me and really inspires me is your comments, your feedback. Some people have commented on the sound. I have no control over that unless I do a whole different system, which I did have when I first started Awakenings BTR, but it was just a lot for me to use all the equipment, do the editing, because I'm doing this. This is really my community outreach, which I really enjoy doing. So how can you help? Well, if you've been, especially if you've gotten a reading here, or people call in and say, "Oh, you've really helped me," or "helped my life," or "I've learned so much from you," or the guests, "I love the program," really do consider going and leaving 5. If you can't leave a review or comment, life-enhancing comment, positive, inspiring comment, then 5 stars greatly helps the podcast. Also subscribing to my YouTube channel and also following me on Instagram, TikTok as well. I just kind of threw it out because some people said, oh, you should need to do TikTok. I started it years ago when it first came out, and then I was just like, it's just so overwhelming. But I do have a small little presence there. I really do love my Instagram, though, and my YouTube. So join me there. You can also subscribe, Michele at soulplayground.life. Go to my website. Keep in the inner circle of what's going on. And, of course, for a deeper dive of metaphysics, spiritualism, and channeled info, you can go to Patreon and my Patreon community, especially the Soul Journey with Michele. We meet monthly, you can get readings, you can get more individual care. And I keep these different programs, courses, and classes because some people don't have the time or the funds to do personal work with me, but that's always an option too, which you can go to my website, soulplayground.life. But I also am a big fan of group work. That's one of the reasons I do this podcast, because it's a group connection and endeavor. It is a community. So if you are interested in any of those things, I do believe there's links in the podcast description. Otherwise, you can find out information by going to my Instagram page. Go to the grid. There's info there, the links. I've got a flow page. Or you can go to my YouTube channel, and love to see you over there. Getting to know so many people. I love the visual, whether they're in my Soul Path Patreon group or Instagram or YouTube, especially YouTube, because people will leave comments and let me know how their life is going. And then I always screenshot the picture so I can tune into the person. And, you know, this also, as a reader, I'm connecting with a lot of the same people, new people, but in the same soul wave, right? We're all part of this soul wave. That's what I say in the intro to Awakenings. And so we're all in this similar vibe or resonance, and that's how we incarnate. You know, one of my metaphysical teachers used to call it, we incarnate like bunches of grapes, rather, or bananas, with similar gifts, issues, understanding, a similar purpose, and it's designed that way so that we come together, especially in the Great Awakening that's happening now. All right, if you would like a reading, you have a question or comment, that number is 347-539-5122, 347-539-5122, and press 1 on the keypad. We got a great guest coming up, Niki and Elizabeth with the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck. Ooh, Oracle deck. So kind of curious to see. I haven't seen the deck yet. I don't know if they sent it to me or not. I've been moving around a bit, so I haven't checked in on stuff like that. But you guys know I love my tarot and Oracle decks. I've got such a. It's interesting because every time I go traveling, I'm like, there's so many decks that I have to bring. I say I have to bring. I cannot not have, because I never know which ones are calling me, you know, to do in the reading. By the way, there is readings for this week. Let's see, Lynn in the chatty. Can you give an update on all this Scorpio new moon and Scorpio sun eclipse? Yes, and in fact, I'm going to do a deeper dive, probably definitely on Patreon, and also the pick a card, because it's not just a one-off. A lot of times we look at the eclipse as the day of, and it's what's leading to it, what's after. So we had the solar eclipse, then we're going to have the lunar eclipse on the 8th, right? Thank you, Lynn, for bringing that up. Good point. And I've really been, in fact, I wanted, again, I'm going to do a pick a card. I'll probably do, I did a post for 10/22/22 on Instagram and the Venus star point but I'm going to definitely do something on YouTube and also Patreon, because it's so important to understand these energetic cycles and understand that they build, just like we're entering a gateway portal of light that happens twice a year. Very few people talk about this. Between November, and it used to be December, but now it's in November into January, and then again May into about mid-June. They're about 2 months. The winter one, winter in the northern hemisphere has expanded into January. And these are points of intensification of energy, and you can think about the energy that happens around November into December, and then in the beginning of to about the mid-January. It's not just that there is it's holiday season, around the world. That's reflecting the energy that's going on. And then again, that May, you'd look at in May, June, there's another, even around March, there's a specific type of energy that comes in. So you want to look back. Some key dates are, 2000, 2012, and 2018. These are some key time periods also to look at. And it's not just, such a good question, Lynn. What is it? Yeah, energy for 6 months. Well, it's not just 6 months. It culminates, or it's emphasizing and culminates, but they are actually longer cycles, right? But if, for just the purposes of right now, for tapping into this, you also want to look at what happened this last, May, June, what was going on then. Again, you want to look at the season, Taurus season, Scorpio season. It's setting it up. And also you want to bring in the nodes. We have the node in the north node in Taurus and the south node in Scorpio. That's one of the reasons I feel like this is also very powerful, because this is actually a south node eclipse, solar eclipse or partial eclipse. And really what it's teaching, what it is showing us, we're ending this cycle on some level of lower level or lower octave desires. Honestly, the soul is trying to come through like light, epiphany, come through. But it has to go through what we call the chthonic, the underground, underworld, the Scorpio, the scorpion, to get to the eagle, to ultimately get to the phoenix. This is why you want to be also aware of getting burnt out or having, really manage your energy. So what does this mean? This, hi, Gail in the chat. If you can't hear, call in. So what this means, a lot of people talk about eclipses letting go. Well, it's eclipsed. It's not always a letting go. An eclipse means something is shadowed or foreshadowed for a while. It could go underground, or that energy that you used for something specifically is being taken, or enough of that is being transmuted or taken and put into another aspect or area of your life. It can bring endings. It can definitely also bring beginnings and new pathways. So what's happening here, and you see this also a lot in social media, people trying to censor people. It's like children stretching their muscles. Most people don't yet know what their soul is, so they think that it's just saying, I want this, this is mine, this is mine. And that covetousness, that is that lower vibration or lower harmonic of Scorpio. It's being purified right now to say, what is your deepest yearning? What is your deepest purpose? So it goes from Scorpio, metaphysically, the key phrase is, I desire, right? I desire. But it goes into Taurus, I have. This is why Taurus has a lot to do and the second house in astrology with worth, value, the monetary system, the Earth's resources, right? Now, Scorpio is the Earth's under resources, so we're talking oil, gold, silver, minerals. I mean, it's a good time. Disclaimer, I'm not giving medical or, any kind of advice or medical advice, financial advice, but it can be a good time to look at resources and to look at what systems are doing well, or what new systems are happening or are starting to take place. And that's also the Taurus energy. So we're being shown, like, not necessarily belief, but what do you really value? What is of value to you? We heard it during the pandemic, right? Essential worker. We heard this term. Oh, they're essential. What does that mean? Well, what's essential to you? And so Scorpio has you dig deep. Like, what is really essential to you? What is right for you? So it is a very transformative time, a very time of a lot of it's transmutation, and you're going to see these polarities kind of shift. We're really moving out of this time, and again, it ties in, of course, to the Piscean age of having the lower level of the Piscean energy of having things outside of us, idols, false idols, reality stars, celebrity stars, influencers, everything that's outside that you're striving for. And so there will be losses. There will be things that are cut, especially as we get into, I would say probably a little bit this year, but I'm going to say more next year, and definitely 2024 when Pluto goes stays in Aquarius. It goes into Aquarius next year, 2023, for a smidgy of time, and then it retrogrades back into Capricorn. And so we've got this tug of war between establishment, what's established, what is the mainstream narrative that's been thousands of years since ancient times, ancient Babylonia, ancient Egypt, ancient Roman, ancient Greece, ancient Mesopotamia. We have the same, not only same cycles, but same relating pattern. So Scorpio rules, it's ruled by Mars, co-ruled by Mars and Pluto. It's transformative, transmutating energy. It's transmuting the energy to transform, but at Mars it's also, yes, it can be war, it can be Martian-like, but it's like a surgeon. So you might look at things that in your life are winding out. What seems to be winding out, or where you're not able to put as much attention. And you'll feel a strain. This is how to look at it, because the ego will be like, I need to do that. There'll be some anxiety around it. Well, that is this energy working through you in your life, pulling from one area that you're attached to, because both Scorpio and Taurus have a lot to do with, also attachment. Because one is desiring, coveting, and one is attaining and having. So and especially with Taurus, it's very much about the earth plane. This is now the boot comes down. Like, no one is escaping. Ascension isn't popping up into another world where everything is hunky dory, everything is blissville. No, it's here. It's making the higher dimensional reality part of Earth. It always has been. We've just been separated out from it, the vibration, the consensus reality. So on the 8th, when we go into that lunar eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse, the lunar eclipse in Taurus, this is going to be a time that people are really looking and saying, where am I actually getting my support? Who's blowing smoke up my bum? And who's the real deal? So this is a time also to flesh out a lot of kind of charlatan energy, people promising things that they can't deliver. Taurus is practical. How do you make the occult, the metaphysical? How do you make your understanding of these trends of yourself, of energy, practical applications? One of my metaphysical teachers years and years ago, two things told me. If you can't explain it in a sentence, and this was complex cosmological insights, metaphysical principles, metaphysical axioms, occult insight, knowledge. If you can't say it in a sentence or two, Michele, you don't know it. And also, everything metaphysically or in the occult ultimately is very simple. The laws of the universe are very simple. Now, we can expound, when you want to call it pontificate, we can get in and get fancy talk things, and that's fine and that's fun. But the bottom line, if it isn't life-enhancing, if it doesn't bring thriving, it's not going to last. And so this is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, in the coming years, especially 2024 to 2025. So this is why I do all this show. This is why I do this podcast, whatever you want to call it. I do the YouTube videos. I'm going to be doing more. I'm going to have more symposiums and panels. It's because there's a lot of fluff out there. There's a lot of people saying, oh, I went to this reader and they said I've incarnated to do this and that. It's like, hey, what's really going on in your life? See, we've had the luxury of checking out, especially in the Western world. You hear this saying, it's first world problems. We've had this luxury. No, now it's like, hey, you've got to use these tools and these principles. So it's also about building structure when you have, from more resonance, when you have that scorpionic attractor, magnetic attraction energy. Scorpio is very magnetic, and Taurus takes what's attracted and builds from it. Taurus is the builder, rules construction. So it's time to come together with real people, real stories, real people, and build. To see yourself as a resource, that you are a resource in your own life. You are a commodity in your own life. Because there will come a point beyond the cash and gold and silver and Bitcoin, beyond the digital currency, that things of services for services, that's going to be a big thing, skill sharing. Not saying the monetary, none of this is happening ASAP, but this is where we're going towards that 2030, it starts to 2050 time period. It's really this turning point, which some of you will see it, some of you won't, will be in 2050, between 2045 and 2050. Again, so we're getting prepared energetically, the universal energy that we are, the quantum energy, the quantum aspect of us through the planets and the planetary influence through transits. And that's another thing. You're going to see more people wakening up, and you've seen it, to things like astrology and tarot, but people are very still surface level on it because it requires actual work, diligence. And that's what that Scorpio-Taurus axis shows us. So you're really going to start seeing things, I think it's really 6 months, but I think, let me look, it's really about 18 months. I think this cycle, this last time we had, I know there's references to the 80s and early 2000s. I know we had this Taurus-Scorpio axis and these eclipses. Let's see. I think it was, I don't know the date. Does anybody know in the chat or online? I think it was late. I think it was in the 90s. Let's see. Yeah, let's just see what. Let's see. Yeah, there. Okay, 2022, 2025. Yeah, I knew it. 1996. No, 1966. I know there was something very transformative, and I can't remember it. I wish I had written it down. And it was when the bubble, the real estate bubble happened. So it was the late 1997, 98, 99, 2000, something around that time frame. Let's see. I'll research it later, and I'll let you know if anybody needs to know. Crystal Bowl's going to better be getting younger. Hey, some stuff that we miss soon, it'll be fine. Crystal Bowl, that's why I have some problems listening to some shows. Much fluff. Yes, exactly. Please. I mean, that is not going to help. It's like, but that's part of it, see, because people, that's the ego. That's still the old glamour realm playing out. That's what we're ending, the glamour realm, which has been going on, for thousands of years. It really started to become heightened in the 30s with movie stars, right? They're stars. They're unattainable. Celebrities, baseball stars, football stars, reality. See, we're still in this. So the leveling of the playing field, I like that term. A lot of people don't like it. Okay, I don't care. That is Aquarius. It makes it the entry point. And I always use this example of when the mid-90s, I predicted, because the Oversouls told me this, that regular everyday people would be trading on the stock market and trading by computer, and I got laughed at. Even some people close to me said, that'll never happen, Michele, because there's too much room for margin of error. And I was doing small channeling groups with stockbrokers and traders, and they laughed. And I said, no, those expensive seats, you spend $700 a year or $1,800, whatever, their different price, are going away. Everyday people are going to be trading. It's going to be, and then what happens less than a year, maybe a year, probably a year at the most, I think a year, 2 years. E-trade, all these online digital. And people started and I tried to tell some of my clients, I said, sell that seat while you can get the top dollar. And what happened the following year, I tried to warn people, the following year, those trading seats, they could barely give them away because you didn't need them. People weren't trading and yelling and screaming on the floor. People were trading by computer, and regular people are like, hey, I can learn how to do this. I can try my hand at this. I can do this. So believe me, guys, I'm going to be sharing a lot more of this because it's like people don't want to believe it. But the thing is, the game is changing. It's changed. I don't care if you want to call it the spiritual hierarchy, God telling me something, the oversouls or astrology. It doesn't matter. It's it doesn't matter what lens you look at. It's a different game, and that's that Taurus access also. That's that Scorpio Taurus I have. Taurus says you're worthy. This is a different game where everybody has more there's more slices of the pie. Okay, there's going to be, we're going to have to make more pies. One of my clients said, oh, my God, the way you're talking, Michele, there's going to be a lot of people doing the same kind of work, and there's going to be, basically less money. There's going to be more slices taken out of the pie. And I said, I know. We got to bake more pies, make more pies. It's not to worry that, oh, my God, there's so much more people doing the same thing. It's like there's going to be different people, different markets, different people have different ways of working, different mashups. Those of you that work with clients or customers, be your authentic self, and the right people will be drawn to you. You're not the same as someone else, which is what Taurus says. Taurus is about validation, stability, purpose, endurance, comforts of life. The changes that are happening are slow moving. These are not, although there's Uranus in there, yes, okay, there's some whammies. There's some breakthroughs, epiphanies, ahas, things that happen, a loss that's quickly, a gain that's in and out. But for the most part, because we're building a whole new society or societies that interlock, it has to be based on our worth, that we have inside us what we need, the resources. In other words, I have it within me to attract or go out and find or do myself, or attract people to help or support. to the right situation. So it's really pushing us into this conscious creation. Those of you that did my Synergy course, we talked about this. We're moving into this interesting energy where what we thought, like we use every now and then, or maybe we talked about it in a group or workshop, it's like, no, you really are this satellite beaming your signal and receiving signals energetically, and that gets lived out. So, yeah, you do make a difference, everyone. So, and that's what, I hate to say it, the what do you want to call it, elite powers to be, the people behind the curtain, whatever, the system, the old system, and the people that comprise that don't want you to see. So you are going to see things kind of cutting like a knife to get you to see you have this magic within you, these resources. And with Taurus there, it's like taking the mystery, the intensity, the magnetism of Scorpio, the desire. So what's having to happen, we've got fixed water, fixed earth here, the lower level desires. In other words, right now, and people say, oh, Michele, how can you be on social media? You're an empath, an introvert, you're so this and that, and it's noisy. Sometimes I haven't been posting as much because it's a lot of crap. I can feel it energetically. It's just like static. Vibrationally, it's very noisy, and I feel it in my body and I hear it. But I said, you know what? I love social media. I love that. I love these technologies and inventions that some amazing minds, who cares, whatever you want to say about them emotionally, or, maybe they're narcissist, whatever. There's some brilliant minds because it's part of the waking up process. The thing is, though, most people are followers, so they just post, we only post what this is cool, this is a trend. I can't tell you how many spiritual teachers that are my age and older that are doing these dance videos, and I'm like, okay, that's really not you. For one thing, you can't really dance. It's different if there's like a granny doing it or something. That's cute. It's a one-off. And the soul is trying to say, hey, don't be always a follower. It's fun to follow sometimes and get on the trend or the bandwagon. But what do you really want to say? What do you really want to do? And people are afraid to do it. Say it or post it because it's like, well, that's not what's in style. People are using this music. People are doing it this way. So we're on this kind of lower level. It's kind of like middle school when you kind of follow because you want to be included. And the souls, and so that Scorpio-Taurus axis cuts where you have to go, God, I got to do it my way. I got to figure this out. I got to figure what I'm about. If I want to have the good things in life, the good life, the life-enhancing life, the health, the wealth, whatever it is, whatever you're focused on in your life, your creation, the tangible results, the stability, people are going to have to dig deep and risk going like, well, that's not that popular. That's why even for me, doing my YouTube videos, one of the best things, because I look back at some of them and I cringe. My hair looks this way, my eyebrows, the lighting. I stumbled on my words. Or Instagram, I post something and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't notice this. Or I stuttered and I'm like, I don't care. Keep it up. Keep it out there, Michele. Keep it out there. Who cares? In that moment, don't over-edit. Don't over-edit. And if something is really awful and it detracts, but that bloopers, we all need to get in touch with our inner blooper, our little blooper. We do, because the thing is, that's how we're going to find each other. And believe me, I know this because I weave in all kinds of worlds, especially, back in the day as an actor and a model, I wove in to all kinds of worlds where I would just be sitting there and going, oh, my God, I don't really belong. Even some things that I do now. But I did see something on Instagram through one guy that's, some of you know I'm a coach on MentorCam, and I do readings. That's it. If you're ever in a little pinch, you want to get a quick reading or even do a video consult with me, I get you in sooner, okay? But I was thinking, what the heck am I doing here with it? There's this Olympic person, this CEO, this person, I don't know, won this in the Olympics, this elite athlete, this rapper that, I mean, and everybody's very mainstream. You can see it by my video, you know, my little hello, hi, I'm Michele, this is what I do. But somehow I got on there, and someone invited me on, and they said, oh, we'd love to have you, and I was like, oh, what the hell. But then I saw this guy posted, I don't remember his name, he's a big somebody, million followers, whatever. This has never been my game. I think I'm going to try to do it now, get out there more. I've been working more for many years behind the scenes with the people more in quote-unquote power positions or influencers, you know. And that's, so anyway, that's a whole other story. But anyway, he posted something like he used to feel he never belonged. If you're asking yourself I don't belong here, you do because you're here. And I thought, you know, that's always been my path. I always have found myself, even as a model, on the yachts or in these cocktail parties with, I'm not kidding, Rockefellers, Oppenheimer, I mean, people, you know, just like aristocrats, you know, there's all these kinds of people. And then it's like, oh, who are you, Michele? And I'm like, well, this is what I do. And then, what? Oh, you're a psychic? Oh, tell us about it. You know, and then here I am in the middle of ultimate materialism talking spirit and spirituality. And you're looking around going, how the heck did I end up here? Well, I'm sitting here talking about this, you know, going to festivals or raves, and somebody's freaking out, and I'm there talking them down, you know, or in a bad neighborhood seeing gang members tag and saying, this is our neighborhood, and me saying, no, your neighborhood is the universe. Or at a dance club years ago, talking meditation to somebody. I'm telling you. I don't know, but this is what I'm telling you guys. The ride gets real. Not to say I haven't had lots of hard times and bumps. I surely have, you know, especially growing up. But the deal is you've got to start digging deep. And if you hear anything I'm saying between now and that November 8th, start now, because a lot transpires 2023, 2024, especially 2024. And dare to take a chance on yourself. Take a risk. If you're wherever you are, for some reason you're meant to be there. And if you're looking around and going, why me? Why am I here? Or why do I have this vision? Why do I have this vision, this big vision, or I have this dream or goal? That's because Spirit put it in you. God put it in you, whatever. That's your soul. Your soul, it's within the design of your soul, the blueprint. Your higher self is guiding you to this. And that is also what this eclipse is about. It's a release of control. The scorpionic, I desire. You know, I've got to have it. I've got to have it. I desire this. As if filling the void. The Scorpio is also about the magic, the mystery, mostly the mystery. It's the mystery in life that we can't quite understand always. There's something always a little out of our grasp, a little out of our understanding. And we have to trust that life principle, you know, the creative innate intelligence within everything and everyone, God, which is all that is, life itself. That intelligence that not only is in us but comprises us. We contribute to it. We're all like, I'm telling you, we're source coding, guys. We're the iCloud and beyond. We're many iClouds. We're the open source. This is what people do. A certain group doesn't want you to know, but these eclipses are going to be bringing it to you, is that you're part of the open source code. What you do and change radiates out and opens for other people to make those positive or life-enhancing changes. And then as a group, our satellite beam is stronger. And we literally, I'm telling you, this is why a lot of people can't predict a lot of stuff. We are creating it now. There's some, yes, there are some things that are destiny. fate, destiny. However, there's a lot that we are co-creating as we go. Think of it this way, my wonderful musician listeners or people that love dance music like I do, EDM. Back in the day, Ableton Live came out with, I think it was in the early 2000s, maybe 2005. So the ability, you're on stage playing music, right? And now there's a program. It was Ableton Live. This is how much of a nerd I am. I actually got the software when it came out and had one of my DJ friends show me how to do it. And I actually contacted Ableton Live, which I think they've since sold maybe, I don't know if they've sold or not. But anyway, they're out of, where are they? Dutch. They're Holland. They're out of Holland. The Netherlands. They're in the Netherlands. And I actually talked to the founder and CEO, the creator. Anyway, because I think technology, invention, innovation, whether it's people looking at different revenue streams or, how do I fix this or doing something around the house and fixing it, that's invention, that's innovation. I love that. Technology frees us up for more self-expression if used in the right way. Anyway, just imagine you now have a software, you're playing music, whether you're mixing beats, or live music. Now you record it and you're able to play it back so that now it's playing back live as you're playing the next part of the music, right? So you keep doing that, and it makes these amazing overlays, 7, 8, it could be even more overlays. So that's us, okay? So we are making a difference. I cannot say this enough. We are making a difference by what we do, what we think, what we overcome, how we come together. It's getting closer and closer to that time, like who are your real peeps, your community. Let's band together in person, online. A lot of this is going to be online. A lot of this coming together is going to be online because it's going to be across time zones. So this is showing what do you need to let go of or what's leaving or winding out so you can have more of what you want. You can be it, do it, and have it. So that letting go is coming from the deeper part of yourself. Now, yes, it's going to be affecting not only our value system and what we value, but monetary, how we look at exchange and how we look at resources, our resources, and ourselves as a resource. What are the resources that we have around us? What really gets you through the thick and thin? This is why fluff is being cut out. And in next year, the next eclipse season, I think, which is the 23rd of May. Don't quote me. I haven't looked at it, but I believe it is going to be choppy more. And you're probably feeling that now, like, I don't need actually that. I'd rather, I've had clients of mine and also friends that have said, I'd rather spend the money on a class or a workshop. Or I've had people say, Michele, you're going to start your workshops up again? Or I miss the information. I miss seeing everyone. I miss connecting with everyone. Because what they're finding is that fuels me. That fuels me. That's what I'm hearing back. That gave me the input, or so-and-so is going through the same thing I'm going through, and they got through it, or they had a good idea. That fuels me so that I can do what I need to do. That's Taurus. We're all being pushed to be these builders of our own next level, next life, a new life, and a new way of living on Earth. We are the builders. Again, everyone's heard it. We're the ones we've been waiting for. But people say that very flippantly. They don't realize, oh, yeah, I got to do the work. Oh, yeah, I got to be extremely exhausted and overwhelmed and change how my income or how I, receive resources or how I connect with people, or the idea of community, or how I live, or how I travel, or whatever it is. Whatever's going on the earth plane, that's what Taurus, signifies. So it's like, okay, how can I let these lower level emotions, lower octave, How can I rise them up through the eagle to really look at myself truthfully and honestly, and then, bam, like the phoenix, death, destruction, transmutation, transformation, out of the ashes, I rise again. And that's what we're doing. It's in human design, it's the, which I have in my human design chart, it's the, we're entering into the sleeping phoenix. Anyone to know anyone with human design? Actually, there is someone I want to reach out to because I want to have a chat about that. We're also in the phase of transparency, which is not really just saying everything you're doing and going through or all your problems or, your wounding. It's the being more yourself, more open, and first and foremost starting to yourself. All right, let's get to callers, 347-539-5122. Oh, the eclipses kept you up. Sue, me too. Crystal, I've got a lot of bloopers too. Oh, Lenny. Oh, am I really? I didn't even think about that. Oh, I'm going on Rumble, Lynn. We're going to be doing it. We're going to you guys got to all come over there with me. We're going to do video. Jacqueline Hansel has been helping me. If you please subscribe to The Awakenings with Michele Meiche on YouTube. We're putting over, just with a thumbnail, what we do on audio, BTR, but I'm going to start doing video. And Lynn, thank you. We're alchemicalizing it. Yeah, we're going to rumble and tumble. I'm on there already in Odyssey, but it just uploads because I got my little censor strike. Now I hear PayPal, so I might have to use a different company besides PayPal. I have to look into that. They have something, if they find that you're spreading misinformation, what was the other thing? Hate speech or misinformation. PayPal can fine you now $2,500. Close your account and fine you. And of course, there's a two-way. They can get in your account, because sometimes you pay for something from PayPal. Let's say if you have $100 in your PayPal account, and then you buy something for $200, it takes $100 from the PayPal and $100 from your account. And I've been with them a long time, since the beginning. But see, what's trying to happen is once people are completely on the digital and the social credit, is to find people, to find them and make them not be able to, essentially live, to censor people by not being able to live. I mean, I'm telling you guys, we're in for a wild ride. I will be there with you. I'm here. I now realize that look I had on my face when I came down here incarnated that I saw always as a kid in my dreams. I'm like, what is that look? Now I know the look. I know the look. I know the look. I know the look. But we are in this together. You are all making changes. We're making them individually and collectively. How we live makes a difference. I heard something the other day that how many people are recycling, and it was on the news. I don't even know what, I was driving and I think it was on, and it was just a flash, and they were talking about how many people are recycling. There's a lot of really positive, life-enhancing things going on in the world. We may not hear a lot about it, but I know you know, and we have to understand that at the same time there is this weird destruction, control, power struggle, weird shenanigans, there's also amazing beauty and wisdom, love, creation, inventions, and innovation. There's an amazing, at the same time, because we are in the converging flow, part of the shift or awakening, where everything's happening all at once. And so you just have to kind of navigate through that and go, okay, but this is my job, is to build up. My job is a bridger. My job is to build up, and if that's it. Because your purpose, your destiny doesn't stop just because things are going on in the world or with corrupt people or corrupt governments or whatever's going on educationally or medically, that doesn't stop your soul's purpose. That doesn't stop the reason that you're here. That doesn't stop the bigger reason many of us are all here. That does not stop at all. In fact, it's heightened. Hi, you're on air. Welcome.
Hi, Michelle. This is Miranda. Thanks for taking my call.
Hi, Miranda. Welcome.
Thank you.
What's your question?
Yeah, so I was wondering if you could check in intuitively and see what's happening for me regarding career in the next couple of months.
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to say is, what do you want to have happen?
For it to be more aligned with what I want to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Because I'm getting like a ninth house with you. So a lot with your beliefs or spirituality or higher, a more in-depth connection. I think you got to make it happen. Now, part of what I see is that you're going to be having your thinking cap on. I think you're going to be creating something new or going in a new direction next year. There are some changes, and maybe it's even working at home or working, on your own or consult something. Yeah, there is something that is brewing for you. It's not now. That's another thing. This is a good point. Between the Gemini in Mars in Gemini retrograde, Mars retrograde in Gemini, and these eclipses, if you've had stuff in the works, it's great to bring it out or launch. But if you haven't, if you're just initiating the thought, it's a good time to really evaluate and do some deep dives and see what your higher self wants to bring through, or spirit. See what comes through your intuition or psychic ability, which simply means connecting to your soul. And Miranda, that's kind of where I feel you're at right now. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's not in the next couple months or weeks or months. It's more next year is what I feel. So let yourself be in this process, okay? Let yourself be in the process. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm currently volunteering, and I thought I would get sort of my needs met there, and I'm feeling a bit constricted because I'm seen as a volunteer, but I do have the background to do more. And so I'm wondering if I should branch out, but then I feel like the challenge is trying to find resources where I could connect with to get clients to work, to help them.
No, I know that, but see, you don't yet have the inspiration. People ask me, why can't I do what I do? Because I have the inspiration.
Very inspired. I feel very inspired, and I know what I want to do, but it's just a matter of getting... Go ahead.
Yeah, but when you're truly inspired, you move into inspired action. So something's missing. Right now, your inspiration is more intellectual or cognitive. When it drops in the body, when it drops in the heart, then it's like, that's it, I'm going to do you find the way, you move. That's why I'm saying you're in a process. It's going to unfold next year. You can't rush it, because the ahas, the epiphanies that you're going to have as to what to do, where to go, the how, the detail-y part that you want isn't yet in alignment, because you have to get in alignment. And I would say use this eclipse energy as well as the Mars in Gemini retrograde also. That would be you can't push it. I've been very inspired, but haven't had the energy or known, how do I get this? How do I do this? How do I make this work? We all ask that, especially entrepreneurs. But at some point, I don't know where it's going to be. Is it walking? Is it in the shower? Is it while you're doing the dishes? You're going to get the aha that puts you in that, gives you that ultimate, understanding and direction. All right, Miranda, keep listening. We've got some great guests coming on soon. Okay? Take care.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to Awakenings. You're on air.
Hi, thank you, Michelle, for taking my call. My name is Patricia. And my question surrounds family. My twin brother lives with my uncle. He's mentally challenged, ex-veteran, and he had a surgery last year that normally the family would help my brother out. as needed, but we all had to come together to really help him out when he had this amputation. Well, since then, he has moved in a female companion who has started some sort of conflict and chaos with the family, taking care of my uncle. Like it's almost like she, is talking to my brother to the point where he's selective now who he wants to come over there. Sometimes he just don't even want family over there. And, this is it's not getting better. It's kind of getting worse. And so I want to know, what do you see as far as my brother Xing her out of the state in which
Not
we,
yet.
as a family, oh, my God.
No.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that's part of the learning lesson that's highlighted with this eclipse. I mean, it's a learning lesson overall, energetically that's going on. But what is that desire? Is it eclipsing other values? What's important, what's true. And so that's the thing. I talked about the fluff. People going for what is fluffy, what seems easier, what is the desire. Yes. And the only way to learn, unfortunately, on that is when people get stung. So no, I do not see it ending. I do not see it ending quickly. Even before you told me the whole, the synopsis of the story. I'm so sorry you're going through this, but you're just going to have to detach.
Yeah,
put your power of prayer and meditation. Yeah, just say your piece of what you see, what you observe, and just say, "I'm here if you ever need me," because it's got to play out. She's dug in. I literally see like a garden claw, when you're like clawing up the garden with that tool, that garden tool. That's what I see.
Yes.
She's got her hooks in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She actually goes outside and she does stuff in the yard now. So figuratively and literally, she is over there plowing and putting in roots, and I could see that. But my uncle, we could see that he's not really happy, but he's not the type, and this is my twin brother, so it's even put a type of block between he and I, because we could talk, and now I can't really talk to him.
No.
Yeah.
I had this years ago, not exactly the same, but I did have with a family member years ago that I was very, very close to. I mean, it since got, but he married someone that, for the money, she married him for the, I heard her, we need this, we need that. She devil, I used to call her. Unevolved Scorpio. But she ended up embezzling money from him that he had for business, and but no one could tell him anything, and it was a block. So I'm saying this psychically, I'm saying this as a therapist, and I'm saying this as someone that has gone through this. Actually with two family members, but people don't see it, men or women, but especially on some level men with the female can be kind of blinded, whatever somebody's preference is, because that kundalini procreative sexual energy, whether people are having sex or not, it gets in there and it clouds things. That's where we go into fanciful thinking, and it's manipulating the energy, So that's what I would suggest to you, Katricia. Again, you just have my deepest understanding, and I just give you a big hug. And there'll be another side of this, but you got to let it play out. Okay.
Take
care.
So much. I love you. Take care. Any blessings.
Lots of love and light. Bye. Hi, you're on air.
Hi, Michelle. This is Kate.
Hey, Kate. Hi. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. I have been house sitting in a beautiful area up in Colorado in the mountains, and it's just had the weirdest effect on me, and I've just been sleeping a lot. I mean, over the past week, I'm still not really at my full energy level. So do you get any hits on that? Is it just really a time, don't worry about it, I need this enjoy
That's
it?
That's what I'm getting. The thing is, we had beginning of August an energetic shift. Well, and I believe it was the Mercury-Uranus North Node conjunction. And that opened up a lot more energy, plus we're in a gateway portal of light. I think what we all have to remember is that even though this energy is lighter, Uranus, it's like a lightning bolt, it's a lot of energy. So our body is still getting used to it. So with so many influences going on in the world, mentally and emotionally, and then we have this higher frequency energy coming in, and we still have the Saturnian energy that we're more acclimated to. It still acts on the denser physical body as dense energy. Physiologically on us, physically and physiologically, it's still a lot of energy. So we're learning how to process, be with this energy, embody it. So that's what I'm seeing. I feel you're falling into that.
Is there a difference, though, between the energy of where I was? Like New Mexico was very intense and very hot all summer, and up here it's just a softer feel to it with the grass and the more trees. I feel
that's a part of it, but the bigger part is I feel the energetic influences, the universal influences, And also remember, relocation, moving, that takes a lot of energy out of you. That's physically dense energy. That's exhausting. And so a lot of times when we have a little break in the day, in the week, in the month, it's to catch up. So that's your next phase.
And this will continue through October?
No, it's going to continue. This energy pattern is going to continue forever. Okay, we have to learn how to act with. Yes, all these little cycles. You hear other readers or channelers or astrologers. If they're on their stuff, if they're being honest, nothing is going back to how it was. We have to learn mentally, emotionally, physically how to acclimate to this new energetic patterning. And the way these energetic cycles are now. So we're getting much more into the transpersonal energy, the planetary energy, more undiluted.
I guess my low energy will recover in what amount of time?
You just have to trust your body. This is also what I was talking about with this Taurus-Scorpio. Taurus ruling the body, the earth. Scorpio, the magnetic energy. It's going to be different for different people, and we've got to embrace that and love that part of us. Some people take longer time to recharge. Some people less time. Some people daily have to do it, weekly. Some people it's going to be once or twice a month or once every 3 months. You have to check your own energetic battery. All right, Kate, I got to scoot. I've got to try to get a couple more. We've got our guests on. I don't know if they're doing readings. Take care. Hello? Okay. All right. If you normally we go about 45 minutes. If you did not get your question answered, I don't know. Maybe our guests will be answering questions. I'm not sure. If not, I'm here next week. And you can always call back in. I'm trying to spend a little more time answering questions, doing a little more channel guidance, soul guidance, and spiritual life coaching, because some people have asked if I can spend a little more time because people are really going through a lot. So if I didn't get, because we have a lot of callers in the queue, if I somehow didn't get to your call, please call back next week. And let me know, even in the chat, I'm in the chat, or just press 1 like you are. All right, I mentioned at the top of the program that we have Niki and Elizabeth with us from the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck, which I'm really excited to talk about, and find out what their inspiration was for this, get a little more information from them. Hello, you two. How are you doing?
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Are you both on air?
Yes, Elizabeth's here. This is Niki, and
hi, Michelle. It's Elizabeth here.
Very excited to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
Oh, you're so welcome. So let's, and I'm open if you guys want to do readings or use your deck. We have more callers in the queue, so we can see how it goes. But just tell us a little bit what you want to share about yourself and about the deck, how you came to, I think I had a picture of it. In Wild and Sacred Feminine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
You were asking if you had a copy, and we have one copy between Elizabeth and I right now. So it's on its way. They were held up on a boat for some time with supply chain issues. You can look forward to that. And
oh, good, because I'll use
beautiful...
it on my YouTube channel. I'll use it on my YouTube channel.
Great.
Love my deck.
Great.
But tell me a little bit. I'm going to get a little, because I saw something. I think it was Sadie did in the Insta story. So let me see the wild, and it looked really pretty. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then let's talk about the deck, because we have a lot of readers in the chat and listening. Yeah.
So I want to presence before I get into that the beauty of the deck is thanks to Jenny Kostecki-Shaw. She's the woman who illustrated it. She's an artist from Taos, New Mexico, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And each of the cards is an original painting. So I feel like that's really special. And one of the things that we experienced in this creation was a heightened sense of collaboration, and we'll kind of speak to that a little bit in the, this is a reincarnation of a former deck that we had done. About 10 years ago, Jenny, Elizabeth, and I wrote the Mother's Wisdom deck, or created that. And a few years ago, actually, shortly before the lockdown, we put out, what's the next chapter for this deck? We feel like it still has work to do, but it's time for a refresh. And what we got back was an invitation from Shambhala Publications to reincarnate the deck for not just mothers, but to honor the sacred feminine. And it was the day of the lockdown sort of starting that we had this conversation, and we said, okay. And we also felt the weight of that task. Wow, that's kind of a big thing. And it feels to us like this is a really potent moment with what our world is going through, and the feminine is stepping forward, at least for us, and we feel for the whole world, asking for something different, asking for a different kind of recollection about her power and her importance in our psyches, in our day-to-day way of being in the world. And so we kind of brought that to the deck, and we put out a call to, okay, who wants to play? Who, we're talking all the range of experiences that Elizabeth and I have, from different spiritual traditions and soul journeys and Jenny's own experiences. We have all of that to draw from, but who are the manifestations of the feminine that want to speak through us for this deck? And we just sort of noticed who showed up, and we also looked to human inspirations, who are the humans on the planet at this time whose words or actions are speaking to us, and we want to include that because, of course, our voices are not the only voices, and we really wanted it to reach as broadly as it possibly could. And do you have anything else to add, Elizabeth, about the inspiration?
Just that we didn't want it to be all from one tradition, so we were careful to balance pulling from Native American, Indian, and Hindu gods and goddesses, and as well as the Judeo-Christian tradition. We wanted it to speak to as many different traditions and cultures as it could. And to that end, we also wanted to pull in other voices. And so with the quotations for each card, we reached out to many different poets and writers to include this really rich tapestry of voices that could chime in on the feminine. So that's how we created this collective, a deck that we think speaks to the collective.
Yeah, and what I love, because now I'm looking on Amazon, it says, within you lives the wild and sacred feminine. And I feel, and then you have archetypal, divine, you have Hathor, which I love, Kuan Yin, Oshun, the muse, a mystic devotion. Curandera, yes, beautiful. You have Curandera. Oh, I'm a Curandera, so I love that. Initiated, so I love because I do feel, it's working for myself, working with as a Jungian and working with archetypes and studied and teaching the tarot for many, many years. And I've always said, because we have the masculine, I know some people say patriarchy, it's a little beyond that, but it's matriarchy in a different way. Let's say the old matriarchy, old patriarchy, but emphasizing a certain construct that comes through mainly Judeo-Christian, Christian Catholic, lens. And I always say, in my classes that you need to, that's a foundation, you need to understand that or know that, because that's a lot of the strong archetypal energy that comes through this world, the planet. But you need to integrate, and we need to find more ways of reinterpreting the definitions, the messaging, but also the images. And I especially now, to your point, was it Nikki? Was that you speaking? Or like the first
Maybe
person?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to your point is that, the sacred feminine, the black negrida, the black virgin, the void, the dark, it's all been, pushed into some weird corner as scary, and but it lives within all of us. Doesn't matter what biological body you're in. There's a sacred feminine and masculine, and that sacred feminine is like, we need that to balance what's going on right now not only in the planet but the world. And so I think anytime people are embarking upon such a project that you're doing, this kind of gift of insight, enlightenment, and love, is not only needed but is very empowering for people to just even consider. Within you lives the wild and sacred feminine. What is that? People are scared of that. It's we're still back in the day of because women bled and didn't die. And I know that sounds so archaic, but there is this fear. Women are, intuitive, or women this, women that, or the feminine, just even the feminine aspect of men is, moods and emotions and intuition. Do you feel what I'm saying, does that figure into your path, what you're doing in designing these types of cards and putting this kind of, empowerment tool into the world?
Yes, absolutely. It's I love what you just said about the feminine being in every body. It's not gendered in a strange way. It's an aspect we all have, but just through so many centuries of patriarchy, and that's affected the way we think in this linear, rational, hierarchical, binary way. That's become the standard. That this more inclusive, more organic, more nourishing and nurturing energy of the feminine has been relegated and diminished. So we're trying to bring the feminine forward and say she's not in opposition to the masculine. She includes all that inside of her. And it's a richer experience to bring aspects of her into our daily life, to not see things as binary, but to see things as multifaceted and circular. And and I'd love to hear Nikki chime in on that. But absolutely, you put your finger on it.
We really looked a lot at the history of the feminine and what happened, especially you were mentioning in sort of Judeo-Christian religions that created this binary of light and dark and man and woman, and everything that was sort of related to the feminine got pushed into the shadow. And I think that's what you were speaking to. Like there's this sort of shadow element. Elizabeth and I were having fun a little bit earlier talking about all of the words, like hysterical that comes from the word uterus, right? And lunatic that has this lunar quality, and even witch this time of year. What does it mean that we have such a negative connotation with a lot of these words that are rooted in the feminine body, the female body, and then the feminine archetypes, both, that circulate through us all. And we really wanted to be careful that we named it as feminine and not a women's deck, because we feel like we're on a whole different trajectory right now, and we can only transcend those polarities if we go beyond this, us and them kind of thing. And so we really wanted it to be inclusive. And when we started to dig into the process and seeing who showed up, what we found is that it was just like more and more and more. There's not any one thing, and our mantra sort of became, the feminine is never one thing. And we, in ourselves, began to experience, she's fierce and she's loving and she has grace and she's got courage, and there's so many, 52, is what we have in this deck, and it could go on and on and on. And the more that we can embody each of those aspects and recognize that they live within us, the more that we can kind of put her back together, like literally remember the feminine, and then from that place the feminine becomes much more alive within us, and then we start to be in more of a right relationship with the feminine that lives in this earth and lives on the land. And the feminine, if we're thinking of that soul body sort of immanent quality of being, then for us to heal our relationship with the earth and move forward in a new way, we really have to be more inclusive of the feminine in it, and in our relationship to the shadow of the feminine as well, because I think that there's a lot of beauty there. So, and actually, I'm going to say we drew a card, like we were listening to like the conversation earlier, and we're like, hey, we didn't know if we would do readings or what, but we just thought, well, let's draw a card from the deck and just kind of see what comes in as a complement to what you were speaking to. And Elizabeth, do you want to read it?
And I'll just preface what we're saying. It was right around the time we were talking about mutual thriving, and that was our experience. That is the feminine model, that thriving is not either or, it's we all rise together. And it was fascinating. I'm going to read the card in a second, but when we did this collaboration between three women, it was, a lot of people are curious about who wrote what card, and how we did it, but we found that when we all worked together and weighed in, the collaboration was so much stronger than if we each did our little piece and siloed in our siloed cell. And it showed us just in the process of creating the book how strong and effective and insightful the idea of collaboration is, which is not really modeled in our culture. But we know not to be a mutually thriving paradigm that totally worked. We think so. So I'm going to read just a little bit of the card, because I think it elaborates on what you talked about, this mutually thriving.
Ooh,
so
good. Okay, love it.
We do Pachamama, reciprocity. As Earth Mother of the Andean indigenous people, Pachamama's body is your body too. Inhabitants of the Pacha, time and place, include the rocks and waters, sun, moon, and stars, and plants, animals, and people. Here, all such beings are equally alive, have agency, and relate to one another through mutual nurturance. Pachamama generously gives of herself, warmth and rain, corn and clay, trees and oxygen. In return, she calls on you to reciprocate with your unique offerings. When you decide you belong to the world and nature as much as nature belongs to you, An ongoing rapprochement with sky, ground, season, and spirit can be reclaimed. That's just the first paragraph, but I think we're syncing up on this idea of that kind of reciprocal model of being on this earth, of mutually thriving.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you heard when I was talking about a client of mine years ago when I think it was like 2011. I was saying, a lot of people in their awakening are going to be doing, a lot of this, writing, tarot, psychic, mixing it with other things, like hybrid economy. And, a lot of, coaching. I just saw something today, this writer and director, I think, of Grace and Grit, Ken Wilber's story with his partner, is now doing like meditation and lucid dreaming. And she said, oh my God, that means a lot more pieces of the pie are going to be taken out. And I said, yes. I go, but we got to make more pies and bake more pies. I said, that's sweet. There's infinite pies. I go, yeah, there's a lot of slices that are going to be taken out. They're going to get slimmer, but you just bake more pies, making. So, yeah, that idea of the collaborative, which I think is very much the feminine energy of that inclusivity and even, the ability to merge and not feel threatened with including or merging or encircling and enfolding. The male principle, amazing. The masculine, yeah, strike out on your own. You're an individual. Go out there, reach out. But that it's, I don't know what you think. The void cuts us off from the soul. Too much of that, it really, you can see it it's like a division even with the earth, which is interesting. You pulled Pachamama for the Gaia of the earth. I just feel we couldn't have gone longer in this trajectory of the idea of separation and overly focusing on separation. And I did notice, and I love that you said feminine. And I loved, when I saw that within everyone, because I do feel that that's been a missing piece, is to include those that are identifying male gendered or even within a role, keeping it out of even gender, keeping it into an energy. You even just say feminine energy to people, they just glaze over. So that you have that inclusivity. I don't know. I feel something very magical about that. Just even stating that, within you. You didn't say women and this and that. It's because I feel like that's a very old paradigm, this whole, only focusing on women and women's issues. I feel like the next step is inclusivity.
Right.
It's all lives matter. Everyone matters, and also schooling people. I'm telling you, just that statement, you're schooling people and like, hey, you got this thing inside you too. It doesn't matter how you identify, what gender you are. This is in you also. I don't know. I think that could be very transforming if people really get that. If people really start to get that.
And we want people to get also that feminine doesn't mean soft and kind of only affirmative. Like, she's fierce. She's wild. She's strong, and that's why we put wild and sacred. That it's not, again, it contains a big mix of potent energy that doesn't play by any kind of rules or hierarchy or order. She undoes as much as she does, and Niki has some really beautiful thoughts on this marriage of the wild and sacred.
Well, in this moment, I think what comes to me is sort of that untamable quality, and in naming the wild as, sort of paired with the sacred, we wanted to kind of open people's minds to what else is there. Both, sometimes we're maybe even more comfortable connecting with the sacred, and we have a little bit more context for that, but then you throw in wild, and sometimes it's sort of on that border where we can't quite see sometimes it might be the shadow, it might be the unnameable, it might be a quality in us that we would like to call in, and yet it feels a little bit dangerous. And so the invitation through this deck, and we really presence the shadow a lot, not because, we're wanting there to be a more darkness, but because we really see the gifts that lie in the shadow. And we feel, too, that in that untamable quality is where we often find our voice, and that as individuals, you were saying earlier, we are all here to do important work. And so what is the voice? And that may come through the sacred, and it may come through something that feels a little more wild, a little bit more undefined. And we wanted to leave room for that. And we also felt like, in terms of, more pie, just wanting everybody to have a slice of the pie, and a big one, maybe their own pie. We feel like the intuition is not, shouldn't be considered like a special trait or a special gift, but that we all have the capacity, and it really takes using it. And I imagine, some people come in with that capacity a little bit more honed, but through something like a tarot or an oracle deck, there is a portal that can open so that you're tuning into those voices, both, guides, and also those layers, deep psyche layers, so that you get to be in that conversation. You don't need someone else to do it for you. And how much of an empowerment that is to every single person to know that lies within them, and that they can turn to something, and it could be any deck. And, we really wanted that to be part of what our deck did, is that, sort of that hotline to your higher self, when you need it, and the empowerment of everyone to tap the intuition.
Absolutely. And even if you are working with someone, whether a coach, a guide, a psychic, whatever, got to bring it back into you. What's it feel like for you? Because people can be wrong, off, or you can sometimes, there's certain things, there are some destiny issues or fated, but there are a lot in life where you can just say, no, I'm not doing that. And I always say, too, that's why it's the sixth sense. It is part of our sensory perception. But I love oracle. I think oracle cards or tarot, a lot of times, actually, unless people really want tarot, people are wanting to develop their intuition more and they're working with me as a client, I will suggest oracle cards. Because there's something that tarot is a whole thing you got to get into, the symbolism, the archetype. But the oracle card, usually there's some writing on there. And a lot of times what I suggest to people is get your, two ways. Either get your own answer, tune in, and then pick a card and see how that reflects, or vice versa. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have never found, whether with myself or people I work with, that not work. Just like what you did today. You picked a card on what I was talking about, and it so not only fit into what you heard me sharing on the podcast and the listeners, but about 10 minutes in, the pre-part of the podcast was about that, even more so. So I think, and Carl Jung talked about that. It taps into that synchronicity that, with that intention there, you get the message or the reinforcement, the confirmation that you need, or the way to elucidate it. But yeah, I think oracle cards are amazing. Now, how would you say, let me just make sure, I put it in the chat, but I'll say it again verbally. We got with us Niki and Elizabeth, and the deck is called the Wild and Sacred Feminine Deck. And is it out yet, you two? Is it available now?
It is. If you pre-order, it will land in your living room sometime mid-November. So we're a couple weeks out, but not far. It's really so wonderful to be able to speak about it here. And, I just love the work that you're doing, because we see it as, it's parallel, right? We're all working to call in transformation, and the feminine is such a powerful agent in that, and the intuition and the ways that we can have these conversations and the way that you're facilitating them is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we got some things in the chat. That's why I love doing this. I definitely want to have you guys back on for a deeper dive, too, if you're willing, and maybe playing around with the cards. Lynn is saying, I love that. Yeah, love that what you said, the reciprocal principle. I have been getting that the divine masculine needs to be brought forth and anchored too. Well, yeah, I think by saying this is in you too is a big start. Who's getting a deck?
We love to see a sacred masculine deck of that nature, you know.
Yeah, but even just saying that this part is in you too, I think there's been such separatist language. I mean, I'm not going to name any decks, but most decks are women focused. Yes, a lot of, there's male readers too. And there's men that just, even for self-development, get a deck. So I think that idea of just that approach is saying, hey, within you, everyone has this part. Crystal Bowles Gretna got one on pre-order. I have one on order. Yay! All right, Sue.
Yay!
Who's getting a deck? Yay! Yay! Yeah, the deck is beautiful. I love the imagery as well. It's and then you have wild elemental. Just kind of include. What would be a suggestion on how to use this deck, or how you've used this deck or other decks? What are your thoughts about how to use this, oracle deck?
Yeah, so if people are unfamiliar with oracle or tarot, the first thing I would say is that, it's really meant to be a bridge between maybe what you know to be true and sort of your conscious mind and where you're maybe having blind spots. And so, or needs some light shed on something, or like, please show me what I need to know in this moment. So what we invite people to do is, first of all, really hold their deck, whatever deck it is sacred in and of itself, and have a relationship with it, and to sit down and, whatever you do to center yourself, a brief meditation or light a candle, or just hold an intention as you draw a card. And we have offered both just sort of a basic, like, hey, if you're going to use this as a one card daily draw, you would just draw a card, and then you would look to see how that card, first of all, like you said, how does it speak to me before I even read a word? Like, look at the image. What is stirring in me from my own map that this is it challenging? Is it affirming? Is it like, oh, that's intriguing, I'm seeing this element, or I love that color, or wow, that feels like something I don't know in myself, like, why did I draw this card? Sometimes happens to me. And then you can kind of open the guidebook, and Elizabeth and I wrote the guidebook to stir that soup a little bit more and to offer some reflections. And so Elizabeth, in sharing a passage from Pachamama, gives you a glimpse. That's just one of 3 paragraphs. The next 2 kind of go more deeply into self-reflection and like, hey, what might you reflect on given that you've drawn this card, and how does Pachamama show up for you? When does she show up? What is she asking of you? And we're kind of just seeing if we can add a little bit more fuel to that fire of self-reflection, and then inviting people to take that next step on their own. What rings as true, what feels like, oh, well, that's cool, but that also makes me think of this, or this happened to me the other day, or, so that you kind of have these different steps of integrating it back into your own life, and how powerful that is, and then how that creates a mesh with the deck in and of itself, and you embody then these different archetypes. Ultimately, each one, we have one suit that's called archetypal, but they're all different aspects that live within us, every single one of them, every one of the 52. So as we spend time working with the deck, then we begin to embody those different parts of ourselves, and they're there, but we begin to be more aware of them, and then have more agency in how we work with them in our lives.
I love that.
We also offer multi-card spreads and stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
you do
go
in
ahead.
there.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you have a guidebook. I was just going to say, I love guidebook, because sometimes myself, if I'm really going through something, or I've been kind of searching for an answer, and maybe I'm getting the answer but not the one I want. That happens a lot too. Or I'm kind of confused. I'll use the oracle deck, and then reading the guidebook, it just elucidates, like you said, the blind spot. I was reading it this way, or I was getting this message through my wonderful, beautiful filter that's filtering still. You know what I mean? But sometimes just picking a card and then even just reading, you're getting this other influence, which is actually another aspect of you that maybe you haven't yet grown into, or is blocked for whatever reason, or like you said, the blind spot. So, yeah, Oracle cards and the guidebook can be just amazing, amazing tools.
And we're always just blown away by the magic. You said, it always works. And in all the years we've been doing this, it's just every single time I'm just completely mind blown that, wow, that was the perfect card for this person at this time, or even like collectively like today, that it somehow connects. And
me as well. And it's just amazing. You stay in that awe. It's like, sometimes people go, Michele, what your side, how you would know? And I'm like, no, it still just amazes me how the right message comes out, the right card comes out, or it can come out more than once. I've had sometimes cards come out 3 times, like this is it, or the I Ching.
Yeah.
And it's like, it really does work. And I find too, the more you use these kinds of divination or empowerment tools, healing, empowerment, I mean, they can be used so many ways. Like you were saying, I think, Elizabeth, it becomes a part of you, and you do then, I feel, for my experience has been, it did open me up to more magic, the magic and mystery in life, that this, everything is alive, Pachamama is alive. I'm getting messages from people, from signs, from the tree, from a color, a flash.
Right.
I really think from working with oracle cards or tarot, it really opens you up to that dimension of life.
But absolutely. But speaking of opening, one thing we have found, and this is not just us, but in approaching any oracle or tool like you're speaking of, it is important to ask questions that are not yes or no. Like no oracle deck gives you that kind of specific. What I like to think of asking often is, what kind of pose or attitude is best for this situation? And then these archetypes step in as exemplars, animal exemplars, nature exemplars, that we adopt that approach, that body, that I don't want to use the word mindset because it's bigger than mind, and then the right course of action and answer comes. But if you ask a very limited question, the oracle gets flummoxed and can't really, that's not best use of the oracle. It's more to ask what kind of pose, what kind of shift, what kind of attitude, and as you did with your questioner about what's the timeline of this, you're like, it's a process. Like that is a process. There's no specific timeline. That's
a really important. Yeah, that's a really, really important point. That I think when people come to the cards, to how you frame the question, and that it's not this binary. There's a guidance, and I like what you said. It calls this archetype in, to give you that insight. Oh, you two have been just amazing. I really look forward to doing this again. Spending more time. I'll cut back because you have so much to share, and clearly you're not, have a back off on being on air, which is great. I really appreciated.
We'd love to try it with readings and show how synergy and synchronicity work, and just that by having getting to the meat of the question, how the cards can reflect. So we'd love to experiment like that with the deck and see it come into play.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes, that would be great. I've got Lynn in the chat saying, thanks, Michele, Elizabeth, and Niki. Great points in conversation. Yeah, I think I came away with some great points. I think people got some great information. Again, people can pre-order, and I will share where they can get that to at the end of the program. Thank you so much, Niki and Elizabeth, for being here. Appreciate you. Really appreciate what you're doing, and just appreciate you showing up and shining your light.
Thanks
for being here.
This was really fun.
Yes, we loved it. Thanks for including us.
Yes. Till next time.
Okay. Sounds great.
Bye-bye. Bye. Oh, gang. So got to let you know, I didn't have the last name. So it's the book is the deck is the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck, and of course it comes with a guidebook. So the Wild and Sacred Feminine Oracle deck comes with a guidebook. The authors are Niki Dewart, Elizabeth Marglin, and the illustrator is Jenny Kostecki-Shaw, and you can pre-order. Comes out, I believe, mid-November. Thank you all for being here. Oh, Lynn in the chat. Okay, now, Lynn, the thing is I use so many decks. If you leave in the comments, Lynn, on my YouTube channel what deck you liked, it is my intention to go back to doing that. It's just I'm so overloaded and overwhelmed with things that I'm doing. I don't yet have enough support. I need someone actually to help me maybe, upload and then write the decks. It's just, I know it doesn't seem like much, but when you have a lot listing anywhere from, I don't know, I usually use maybe 10 decks. But I will make more effort to do that, and definitely when I have somebody that's helping me with that more. Because then I will have them do that. But then the thing is, I use so many decks, and I have to get them the list of the decks, and sometimes I never know. But anyway, I will try to do that. But until I can do that more consistently, if you just in the comments I've been trying to say the deck names in the readings. But I know a lot of readers do that. I know people would love that. But if you do, I'll try to say it. I've been saying it more actually in the readings. However, if you put in the comments what was that deck and then describe it, or what decks did you use, maybe I can do it after the fact. I might be able to do it after the fact. I can go back and pin, a comment, or I could have somebody. I just need to delegate someone to do that. It's just the people that are supporting me right now are a little maxed, and some are in transition. So anyway, I'm in the middle of that. But hopefully, I don't know, end of the year, into next year, I have more full-time support in the media, the outreach program. So if you know of anyone, let me know. All right, you guys, I love you so much. I've really had a wonderful time today with all of you. I had an amazing time with our guests, too. Again, let me just say that again. The Wild and Sacred Feminine Deck and Guidebook. Find Amazon or Shambhala. Lynn, always great to see you. Everyone that was in the chat, thank you for being here. Everyone that called in, thank you for co-creating this podcast. If you had a question and you didn't get it answered, please call back next week. I try to get as many as possible. The fact that I'm just doing this, I think I enjoy it, but it's also a great service. So please have patience with me. And again, connect with me on YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, TikTok, Odyssey as well. Soon to be migrating stuff to Rumble. Rumble, so I can speak more freely, put my videos up there. The video that got canceled, quashed, deleted on YouTube, I found it, so I am going to be putting that on Rumble. It was an interview from Jill Thompson asking about the channeled information and what's going on in the world, and I got it censored. Oh, thank you, Lenny. Lynn, we're having a conversation by ourselves here. Hey, Lenny, in the chat. Thank you, Lynn. All right, everyone, big hug, and I'll see you on the socials. Those of you in Patreon, I'll see you in Patreon, and I'll see you here next week. Lots of love and light.
Awakenings broadcast every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows available on iTunes. For continued awakened conversations and insights, join the Awakenings group on Facebook. And check out Michele's blog at soulplayground.com and keep awake.